The Board of County Commissioners Policy Session and Issues Update on this May 18, 2021. Isn't that when Mount St. Helens erupted?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that day well. Gary, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. So Commissioner Shull and Chair Smith are in the hearing room. Commissioner Schrader, Savis, and Fisher are on Zoom, so all commissioners are present. We'll begin with the American Rescue Plan Act Funds Update. We're doing a weekly update for you, commissioners, so you know exactly where we're at. Elizabeth is our Finance Director. Please go ahead, Elizabeth.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Chair Smith and commissioners. I just have a brief update. The committee meets every Tuesday morning, so these are fresh. First update is our PGA team has a survey out through the month of May. And the English version so far has gathered 3,167 responses as of 6 a.m. this morning. The Spanish language version of the survey has gathered 45 responses so far. And again, they're going to be generating the survey through the month of May, and then hopefully quick turnaround report with trends and responses to you commissioners. Let me see here. This Friday, I will be participating in a GFOA webinar. There was one, I believe, Tuesday on guidelines. I did not attend yesterday's, but GFOA, which is the National Government Finance Officers Association, will have one in the afternoon, so I'll be attending that. June 2nd, we have a listening session scheduled. I know there's not a topic yet decided, but potentially, we could talk about the guidance from that, from what we've learned. Also on June 10th, I'm participating in a Clackamas County Cities meeting to gather more information on how we are all drafting plans and overviews, as well as I've reached out to Marion County and Lynn County this morning and hope to learn how they're planning for these responses to the guidelines that we're receiving. The guidelines are, as we expected, as they did with CARES, the more information that's coming out, they are tightening those guidelines. Additional tightening is we've learned from PGA is the funding is not as flexible as we once had thought, and so there's very specific tightenings on.
Do we know what that? I'm going to
uses.
interrupt you, Elizabeth. What do you mean it's not as flexible as what we once thought? Can you elaborate?
Well, I think we thought, we could have some categories and then use them within those, but now we're finding that in the public health pandemic, economic impacts, premium pay, replacement of lost revenue should have a very defensible connection to the pandemic response. And so just more audit trails and tying instead of, we have an opportunity here for funding, but now it's defend the opportunity and the use.
Well, if we have an opportunity, we just have to prove it.
Absolutely, yeah.
We just have to do more paperwork and make a case is what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, they're just
Sure.
not going to give it to us for free. I mean, there's going to be a cost, and it's going to be our staff is what the cost is going to be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And we are setting up a policy session for you commissioners on June 1st to talk more about what we're learning and to share what the committee has pulled together to describe the categories and the guidelines around those specifically.
As we hear about what our legislators want to do for Clackamas County with their portion of the money, there's representatives get $2 million, the senators get $4 million, and they're pooling their money on different projects, and which I think is wonderful because a lot of them are projects that are what we like. Mm-hmm. But it's not full funding for any one of those projects. I would like this board or the committee that's been set up to look at a possibility of Clackamas County's portion, adding more monies to those projects to see them to completion. For instance, the Founders Clinic that's being moved to Clackamas Community College is getting a good chunk of money in. They also have a line on some private foundations, possibly. And that project is a perfect example of nobody wants to be the first funder. They say, will you go get some money and then we will help you. Likewise, there's been talk about the livestock barn at the fair, which is a fantastic program. But we probably, with what the legislators want to contribute of their share to that, we probably get I'm guessing, 2/3 of the cost of the barn. Maybe we can look at finishing that with the share that the county is getting, so we don't have these projects hanging out and them having to go out and fundraise privately. That's kind of, it warms my heart, really, that our legislative delegation is on the same page for us and our projects. And I see that there's a light on, Christina.
Commissioner Savas has the same
Commissioner
hand.
Savas, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to ask Elizabeth a question, and I'm presuming that when all this guidance comes out, we'll be able to have an understanding of what is durable, what dollars can be spent on things that are durable, that can stand the test of time, like structures or facilities that provide care or whatnot, versus services. And I'm assuming, Elizabeth, from what you're stating, it looks a lot like the CARES Act. Therefore, maybe a lot of the service provision of these dollars might look a lot like a reimbursement model. Is that a roughly correct?
I wouldn't say in that fashion that it's similar to the CARES Act. Clackamas County was unique, in comparison to our other neighboring counties where they receive funding and then were able to spend it, where Clackamas County needed to seek reimbursement. We're going to be in the same position as our neighboring counties where we are in receipt of the funds, and then we need to be accountable and specific on how we're spending them. Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments from the presenter?
Nope, I think that's good.
Gary, do we have any
All right,
comments?
so June 1st will be a policy session to get more of your guidance, commissioners, before staff is ready to make their final recommendations to you. We still do not have the money in hand, is that correct?
Oh, yeah, thank you. We have not received the funds as of this morning.
Okay.
And neither have I was on a call with Multnomah County and Washington County this morning, and they had not received their funds either.
Has anybody received funds we know of?
Waiting to hear from Marion County and Lynn County, so hopefully if, I'll hear back later today from them. I'll send Gary a note immediately. If I hear
Christina, I
anything.
see another commissioner in the queue.
Commissioner Savas has the same
Commissioner
hand.
Savas?
Yeah, Gary, just want to clarify, you just said something that triggered a thought here. I'm hoping that as this rolls out and, that we will have an opportunity to provide input and see some recommendations before because you use the words a final recommendation. So I just hope that there's breathing room for the commissioners ourselves to factor a number of things, take in all this input, see what staff's putting together. If that's June 1st, great, but I wouldn't want to think that on June 1st you come to us with a final recommendation and we're just going to say yes or no without much input.
Nope, so what I said, Commissioner, is June 1st is for you to give input and further guidance to staff before they give you a final recommendation later, after that date.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That's
Thank
what I
you.
was seeking.
Thank you.
And
All
Gary?
right, we're good. Thank you, Elizabeth, very much. Next, a proposed COVID-19 emergency declaration permit extensions. There was a memo in your packet. Stephen Madcore, and it looks like Dan Johnson will present. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Chair Smith, members of the Commission, Administrator Schmidt. My name is Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation Development. A number of weeks ago, we came to this commission and asked if there was an interest or a tolerance in allowing some extensions of land use decisions that may have been impacted by COVID-19, and there was. To do so, we have to revise the COVID-19 emergency declaration. Staff has worked hand in hand with County Council, who have provided a written draft of proposed language. And essentially, I'll read some specifics here. The extension applies only to county-issued land use permits approved. Applicants requesting an extension shall file the completed application before the expiration of the county-declared emergency set forth in Board Order Resolution 2020-14. If granted, extensions will continue through December 31st, 2022. There's no application fee we're proposing for this request of an extension, and applicants are eligible for only one extension. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Now, this emergency declaration expires on December 31st, 2022, right?
The
No.
land use extension would
I'm asking,
sorry.
I'm asking Stephen, when does the COVID emergency declaration expire? Didn't we
December
extend-
31st of this year,
Okay, of this year.
correct.
Okay, so they have like another year and a half to finish it. Got it. Okay, thank you. Now, so this is not dependent upon whether we extend that emergency declaration, is it, Stephen?
They would need to have, no, it's not. They would
Okay.
need to have their application in prior to the expiration of it, though.
Got it. Okay, yeah. Any other questions from commissioners or comments?
Well, it's just, it should be said that there's more to the COVID declaration than just that one section, obviously. So I think with the discussion we had a couple of weeks ago regarding the housing emergency declaration, I think there's evidently quite a bit of confusion. And maybe it's this particular declaration that people are relying upon versus the housing emergency declaration. So I think having some discussion and clarity around that would be great. And Gary, I think Pamplin Media may have possibly misstated your comment, but I think your comment during that one meeting was that, as you're aware of, there has been no use of the housing declaration for a significant period of time. So therefore, for clarity, nonprofits, all the people that emailed us in that email exercise are not relying upon the housing emergency declaration, and perhaps, if anything, it's really the COVID declaration. Is that correct?
That is correct. The housing declaration was last used in the fall of 2019. It has not been used in calendar year 2020 or currently in 2021. So the information from those members of the public was not accurate, that they claimed it has been used recently. It has not.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
clarification, Gary.
Thank you for that clarification, Commissioner Savas. Commissioners, any other comments regarding this extension of land use permits? Gary, do we do a motion on this?
so
or do
What
No.
you will
head
do,
nod?
Chair, is just as long as you give the head nod right now, we will have an addendum to the COVID emergency declaration. We'll formalize it. We'll probably present it either in a public discussion item or on a consent agenda. This would be number 15. This would be measure number 15. So I will go back and redraft an addendum for the original emergency declaration.
Okay, and then you can get together with Gary on how you want to present that to the board. I see no objection, so please go forward.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Next, ending waiver of dog license late fees due to COVID-19. Dan Johnson, go ahead.
So here's a quick dog license lesson. So licensing of dogs is directly related to the rabies shots that you get for your dogs. Back in March of last year, it was a little difficult to get a rabies shot for your dog. Not ever assuming that COVID emergency declaration would extend for as long as it has, we had proposed to the board at that time to waive all late fees to a point of 60 days past the end of the COVID-19 emergency declaration. Now we are coming back to the board, wishing to kind of rescind that or change that. And basically, although it's a different state of emergencies have existed over the past year, staff is now respectfully recommend the BCC rescind the late fee waiver effective on July 6, 2021, giving us enough time to kind of inform folks about that change in pathways. COVID restrictions have changed over time, and now it is much easier for owners to get their dogs vaccinated. I'd be happy to answer. This is not a part of any declaration. I want to make sure we're clear, but we had come to the board requesting this waiver at the time. It's appropriate to come back to the board and request to change this waiver going forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Effective July 6th, okay. Any questions or comments for Dan Johnson on the dog waiver license?
Well, I just want to say with a little bit of humor and brevity that, Dan, I think you're about to make a little slip there when you said the dogs get their owners vaccinated. So I just thought that in consideration of the vaccinations for COVID, that it's a little humorous. So just want to point that out.
That's a good one, Paul.
Thanks for pointing that out.
I see no objections to that, Dan.
Thank you so
What's
much.
the procedure on this one?
So, Stephen, how do we formalize this then?
You know, this came to you during issues. What I'll do is draft a formal board order. I'll include the history, and we'll have it effective on July 6th, and we'll present it on a consent agenda or discussion item, however you decide to
Okay,
hear
let
it.
Gary decide what we want to do on that.
Will do.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm going to shuffle the agenda a bit. Next, stick around, Dan, please. Approval of a contract with Kohlhauer and Cohen Incorporated for strategic marketing consulting services for phases 2 and 3 of the County Drive to Zero project. So, Commissioners, you actually already approved this on a consent agenda item on April 29th, 2021 at your business meeting. However, the formal contract was inadvertently not included in the packet that was online and with you. So I just want to confirm or affirm, do you want to see the actual contract and put it back on your consent agenda? Are you okay knowing that in theory you approved this item, but you did not see the contract? I just want to totally be transparent and ask how you'd like to formalize the approval. You technically already did, but would you like it one more time on your consent agenda? Because you did not have the contract in your packet.
Comments from commissioners? I see Commissioner Scholl.
Gary, was there any changes in the amount of the contract since we talked about it in April?
No changes.
Okay,
No
thank you.
changes.
We're just missing a signature?
Yes,
Yeah, we're missing the signature page, basically.
yes.
Okay. Any other comments from commissioners? Seeing none, I think we can go ahead and sign it.
So if you're comfortable, I would propose the chair just sign it, knowing that you did approve the item. We didn't have the signature page in your packet. Apologize for that, but if you're comfortable, we'll just have the chair sign it. Looks like you are. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Actually, I'm going to do a similar one right now. So Jeff Munns, if you're listening, this is you. This is not on your agenda. I apologize, commissioners. Last week, also on your consent agenda, you approved for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District and Clackamas County a purchase and sale agreement related to the Concord School property. I forgot, my gosh, where's my notes? Well, the Concord School property, the vacation of a road, Brolin Company, that was the name of the company. You did approve this last Thursday. The title documents, though, could not have been drafted until after you approved that item. And Chair Smith is now asked to sign the title agreements that formally share the property. So my question is, again, you already approved this item. May Chair Smith sign the title agreements, or do you want to see the title agreements and put it back on the consent agenda, which we would do this Thursday?
Comments from commissioners? Commissioner
Just
Scholl?
sign the agreement. I'm good with that.
What do you say? Commissioner Scholl?
Yeah, I think just signing the agreement would be fine.
See no objection?
All right.
Gary,
Thank
go
you. So we'll
ahead.
have Chair, we'll have you sign that. Apologies, Commissioners. In this case, there's nothing done incorrectly. We had to have your agreement first before the title documents could be presented. In the future, we'll make sure to add a line to the staff report saying the Chair has authorization to finalize any further documents related to the item. That's how we'll correct it going forward. Thank you very much. Next, I'm still jumping on the agenda. Let's go to advisory boards and commissions next, please. Christina.
Alrighty, we have quite a few today.
Good.
We have 6, so I will just run through all 6 of them. First is for the Clackamas County Community Health Council under the Health and Housing and Human Services Department. Members have 3-year terms, and they voted unanimously to recommend Michelle Walsh for her first term. Second is the Clackamas County Vector Control District. Members have 4-year terms, and they received 1 application during their recruitment process and are recommending Amber M. Wimstat for her first term. Third is for the Enhanced Law Enforcement Budget Committee, staffed by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Members have 3-year terms with consecutive term limits. They received 1 application during their recruitment process and are recommending Michael Wilson for his second term. Fourth is the Historic Review Board, staffed by the Planning and Zoning Division. Members have 4-year terms. During their recruitment, they received 3 applications and are recommending Amanda Greason for her second term and Howard Post for his second term. Fifth is the Mental Health and Addictions Council, staffed by the Behavioral Health Division. Members have 3-year terms. During their recruitment, they received 8 applications, and all 8 were recommended. I will list them by terms. First term will be Sean Cyrek, Nicole Birdsall, Lucy Cook, and Donna Marie Drucker. For the second term, it would be Adam Levine and Pamela Pierce. For a fourth term, it would be Teresa Melville. And for a fifth term will be Gabrielle Grabert Rodriguez. And for the last one, it's a sixth. It's for the Development Agency, staffed by the Department of Transportation and Development. Members have 3-year terms. During the recruitment process, 3 applications were received, and 1 is recommended to be for appointment. And this is Jennifer Hyang for her first term. And that is it.
I see a light on.
Commissioner Savas has his hand
Savas,
raised.
you're up.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm good with the appointments, but I see on the mental health advisory and addictions council that there were 7 resignations. Is there something happened there? Anyone speak to that?
I don't know. Rod Cook is in the
That's more than half
audience.
the committee.
Rod Cook is in the audience, and he's shaking his head no. He doesn't know why either, and I certainly don't know. Does any other commissioner care to make a comment? Gary?
I don't know either. Would you like us to find that out before you finalize this?
Not necessarily. I'd just like to know the reason. I'll move to approve the slate.
Seconded.
Commissioner Savas has moved to approve the appointments for these commissions and boards, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Christina, please call the poll.
Okay, Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
and Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
So we'll get an answer to that question for you, commissioners, and send it to you via email.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, the item I skipped on the agenda, intergovernmental agreement for implementation cost for supportive housing services program. So I've conferred with Rod Cook, the director of H3S. We're going to pull this item for this week, commissioners. There's some information I shared with you that's not public yet, so we want to make sure we have all our information correct. And once we do, we'll bring this item back to you.
Thank you, Gary. I
pull
think
that
that's
for
a good
today.
course of action.
Thank you. Next, Board of Commissioners Business Meeting Agenda Review for this Thursday, May 20, 2021. You have a 10 a.m. business meeting. You'll have ice storm updates, COVID-19 updates, Housing Authority consent agenda. You will have 2 public hearings, the first on a proposed Clackamas County supplemental budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Next, an exemption and authorization to use a competitive proposal process to obtain a P3 project company for the courthouse replacement project. Then you have a regular consent agenda for the rest of your meeting, and a North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District consent agenda, and a development agency consent agenda. You have a full agenda. If you have any questions on any item, please let me know prior to Thursday, and I'm happy to answer those questions for you. Next, Willamette Falls and Landings National Heritage Area Support Letter. Commissioner Schrader proposed this item last week. Commissioners asked if our Office of Equity and Inclusion had reviewed. They had not, but they have now. Martine Koblenz has reviewed and did not have any edits to the original letter, so that original letter is back before you. But Commissioner Schrader, do you have any kickoff you'd like to say about this request?
Well, obviously, I think it's something that's been on our books for years, so we should move ahead and support it. And it would be great if all of us could sign it. I think that would be a nice gesture.
That would be
So-
fine.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
All right.
Any other comments from commissioners on this letter?
So
And-
moved with the amendments.
There are no amendments.
There are no amendments, Paul.
The amendment being added signature lines.
Oh, signature lines. Okay. Second.
Commissioner Savas has moved for approval, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any other comments? Christina, please take the poll.
Okay, Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
And Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. Next, there was a request, Commissioners, from the Oregon Department of Aviation for you to appoint a Clackamas County Commissioner to serve on the Aurora State Airport Master Plan Public Advisory Committee. And Chair Smith, I'm sorry, I kicked it off. Would you like to tee off this item, please?
Oh, no, that's fine. I have been asked to serve on this commission over the next 18-month period, along with the Oregon Department of Aviation and the FFA will be holding 8 to 10 public meetings over an 18-month period in support and working through the airport master plan for the extension of the runway. An IGA, an environmental impact study, is going to be underway, and it's going to be very lengthy. They have an attorney present, and so I would like to serve on this. Oh, okay. Any other discussion from commissioners on this?
We have a motion to approve. Chair Smith, please.
Seconded.
Did Paul say that?
No, I did. Sorry.
Okay.
Could we have a motion, please?
May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
And seconded.
Commissioner Schrader has moved to approve, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Christina, please call the poll.
Okay. Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
And Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board, for allowing me to do that. I will report back on items as they come up, or if there's anything to report. I am assuming staff will let the Oregon Department of Aviation know. And there's going to be a representative from Marion County on this as well, and other stakeholders, and I can apprise you of who those are. Gary.
Thank you very much. We're booking today, Commissioners. Next, let's request for consent agenda items. I will call on directors who are in the room first. So let's see, Rod Cook, I'll call you first. You've been patiently waiting, as has everyone here. This is for Health, Housing, and Human Services. Approval of a revenue intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Human Services, Office of Vocational and Rehabilitation Services for job placement and job retention services. This is a revenue agreement with a maximum value of $300,000. No general funds are involved. Go ahead, Rod.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay with this? Am I good? Okay.
Yes.
This is a renewal IGA that provides funding for job placement and job retention services for individuals with severe and persistent mental illness. Reimbursement is provided on a performance-based fee-for-service basis, and there are no general funds involved in this project.
Good enough.
Any other comments for this particular item? Any objections? It's a go.
All right,
Okay, we'll
thank
put it on
you.
the consent agenda. Thank you, Rod. Next, Finance Department. Approval of an amendment to a contract with Earthworks Landscape Service for the grounds maintenance and repair services. This amendment will add $378,893.63 for a total contract value of $2,931,667.34. This is funded through the Facilities Maintenance Program. There are some general fund dollars that are involved with this. Jeff Jorgensen, Facilities Director, please go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair Smith, Administrator Schmidt.
Yes.
Just want to go ahead and request approval of this amendment. This is directly related to the ice storm and the actions of Earthworks in assisting the county to go ahead and resolve the issues with trees, hazardous trees, limbs. Basically, it was 1 month of work that they were there for us, helping us with this, the resolution of the ice storm. We'd also like to make sure that this is, if we could put this on the Thursday docket for expedited, we'd like to get the contractor paid for this. It's been quite a while.
Okay, any comments on this particular request? Any objections? See none.
All right,
It's a
we'll add
go.
it to this Thursday, May 20th consent agenda. Next, approval of a public improvement contract with Johnson Controls for the Brooks Building rooftop unit replacement. The total contract value is $302,072, with funding through the County Capital Projects Fund, of which some of this is general fund dollars. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, this is for the 4 really large HVAC units on top of the Brooks Building. It did go out as a competitive bid. Johnson Controls won the bid on that, so we're requesting approval. These units are all 22 years old. They were original units when the building was built, and they're just past their life expectancy. No repair parts are available anymore. So just trying to go ahead and get those put up there this year so we can go ahead and move on with it.
And how many units is that, Jeff?
4.
Four,
It's,
in which building? I'm sorry.
4 40-ton units. They're
In which building will
basically-
they, which buildings?
It's for just Brooks.
Brooks, I'm sorry.
Each
I'm having trouble hearing, folks. I beg your pardon on that. Yeah, well, I'm glad we're keeping up on maintenance. I think that's important, very important. Thank you for bringing that. Any objections from the board? Hearing none, it's a go.
You want that May 20th too, or can that wait?
It can wait.
Okay, so this will be the following week. Just the Earthworks is for this Thursday. Great.
Correct.
Thank you, Jeff, very much. I'm working backwards on the agenda now. County Administration, approval for a professional services contract for research justice study for communities of color in Clackamas County with the Coalition for Communities of Color. Total contract not to exceed $300,000 with funding through the county general funds and contributions from local governments and businesses. Martine Koblenz, the County Equity and Inclusion Officer, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, everyone. So I was here a couple of weeks ago, so I won't go into too much detail, but this is approval for the Racial Research Justice Project with the Coalition of Communities of Color. We had an open competitive process, and they were selected to do this work for us. And as was stated, it would be $150,000 of general funds, and the rest we've raised with cities and other organizations who will be participating in this project as well.
And this has been budgeted. It's already in the current budget. It's not
Any
additional.
comments from commissioners on this? Any objections? Seeing none, it's a go.
All right, we'll
Thank
put it on
you.
a consent agenda. Is it this week or next week?
It could be next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sorry, there is no next week. I forgot.
So then if it could be this week, that would be
All right,
better.
We'll do this for May 20th too, please.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martine. Next, Transportation and Development. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and the City of Oregon City to transfer permitting authority and maintenance responsibility for a portion of Maple Lane Court and Maple Lane Road to the City of Oregon City. There's a one-time payment of $29,384 with funding through the Community Road Fund. No general funds are involved. Is Dan online?
I don't see him online.
Nope. Mike Besner? Cheryl Bell? Okay, we're going to skip this and go to Technology Services. Is Dave Cummings online? Okay. Approval of an amendment for the service level agreement between Clackamas Broadband Exchange and Allstream Business US. This is a monthly reoccurring cost for the connections of $1,465 and a non-reoccurring cost of $98,500. This will be funded through the Clackamas Broadband Exchange budget and will be reimbursed by Allstream Business US. No general funds are involved. Dave, please go ahead.
Okay. Yes, we have 2 agreements here with existing customers. And the one with through Allstream Business Systems in Oregon City. It's actually another deal where they're actually paying for the fiber that we're installing, $98,500. And we will be reimbursed by them, and we will have a $1,465 a month revenue coming in and own the fiber. The other, the agreement with the state of Oregon, the same deal. They're paying for $33,900 to install the fiber, and we will bring in revenue of $510 a month. And that connection is in Estacada. Both great deals where somebody else is paying for the fiber. We'll own it, and we'll get annual revenue coming in. I think that's basically it.
Any questions for the presenter? Any concerns, objections? Seeing none, it's a go.
Put it on the agenda. You kind of just did the second one, but formally, Dave, I need to announce it. So approval of an amendment between Clackamas Broadband Exchange, it's okay, and the state of Oregon. This is for a monthly reoccurring cost for 2 new dark fiber laterals of $510 and a non-reoccurring cost of $33,900. This will be funded through the Clackamas Broadband Exchange budget and will be reimbursed by the state of Oregon. No general funds are involved. You just heard the explanation. Are you okay with this one too, commissioners?
Yeah, any objections? Seeing none, it's a go.
Thank you, Dave.
I apologize, I get excited and I jump on the stuff.
No worries, Dave. Thank you.
you
Chair and Commissioners, I forgot, you do not have a business meeting next week because of your Budget Committee meetings. So if you agree, can we put all of these items on this Thursday's agenda so we don't have to wait 2 weeks? Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
it's okay with me. Commissioners, are there any objections to putting all these items on this week's business agenda? Seeing none, Gary, go ahead.
Thank you. So we're still going forward. Transportation and Development. Good timing, Dan. All right, back to Transportation and Development. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and the City of Oregon City to transfer permitting authority and maintenance responsibility for a portion of Maple Lane Court and Maple Lane Road to the City of Oregon City. There was a one-time payment of $29,384 with funding through the Community Road Fund. No general funds are involved. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you very much. That title kind of explains it all in that introduction as well. So basically, Clackamas County has jurisdictional, including permitting authority, enforcement of road standards, and maintenance responsibility of Maple Lane Court and Maple Lane Road. This intergovernmental agreement addresses transferring rights and duties as road authority, including permitting authority, development of road standards, and maintenance responsibility to the city for a portion of Maple Lane Court and Maple Lane Road. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or objections from commissioners? Seeing none, it's a go.
All right, next, board order vacating a portion of Victory Road, permanent vacation of a portion of Victory Road right-of-way, no financial impact. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. Victory Road was dedicated to the public in February 17th, 1910. Wasn't quite around yet. A recent partition of property adjoining Victory Road and Forsyth Road created an opportunity for the county to partner with the developer to complete a project on the county's transportation system plan. This project relocated the Victory Road right-of-way to a much safer intersection with Forsyth Road. As a result of the relocation, there is existing right-of-way that is no longer being used by the public and therefore can be vacated.
Thank you. Any comments for Dan on this? Objections? Seeing none, it's a go.
All right, next, approval of a resolution declaring the public necessity and purpose for acquisition of rights-of-way, easements, and fee property for the contract paving Webster Area Package Project and authorizing good faith negotiations and condemnation actions. Right-of-way budget is $32,209 with a total project cost of $1,048,440. Funding through the Community Road Fund and County Road Fund. No general funds are involved. Go ahead, Dan.
The project that was just explained to you consists of ADA ramp improvements, upgrades at Southeast Aldercrest Court and Southeast Vernelda Street and Southeast Webster Road and Southeast Marcos Avenue, and paving of 1.15 miles of local roads in a variety of locations. Essentially, you've been aware of these in the past. These are required because we require to good faith negotiations for right-of-way. This is a first step. Does not contemplate any condemnation at this point in time. If it were ever had to be a condemnation action, we would bring that back in front of the board for further discussion. This simply allows our right-of-way staff to start negotiating with these property owners.
And how did you know I was going to ask that question?
Right here.
Got a mind like a trap, I can tell. You know, my husband tells me that all the time. He says, yeah, it goes in, it gets stuck, it never comes out. All righty. Thank you, Dan, for that. Any comments or objections from our board on this? Seeing none, that's a go.
Okay, next, acceptance of an access easement and maintenance covenant for a storm system located at 13601 Southeast 178th Avenue. Establishment of an access easement and maintenance covenant. No financial impact. Go ahead, Dan.
Southeast 178th Avenue currently outfalls public stormwater onto private property. As a part of a building permit issued in the city of Happy Valley, the property owner at 13601 Southeast 178th Avenue had to convey the public storm water through the property at an appropriate outfall in order to develop. the property and build a home. In order to protect the public outfall of stormwater from 178th Avenue through the private property to the point of outfall, DTD requested and the property owner agreed to grant a public access easement over the stormwater, conveying public stormwater in case of an emergency where the public street is experiencing flooding, essentially allowing us access to get on that property to maintain it. Additionally, the owner will take sole responsibility to maintain the private storm system in order to ensure the public stormwater will be able to reach the outfall without risk of flooding on public or private property. The easement in question is approximately 2,628 square feet in size.
Any comments or objections to Dan? Seeing none, that's a go.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Finally, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, approval of an...
Will these be on this week's
Yes,
agenda?
everything.
Yeah, okay, good.
Everything today will be on this Thursday's
Thank you, Gary,
agenda.
just
Thank you.
clarifying.
Sheriff's Office, approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County on behalf of the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and the State of Oregon, acting by and through the Oregon State Police for use of the Public Safety Training Center complex. This is a revenue agreement for $10,000 annually that the state will be paying to us. There's no general funds involved. Ryan Brown, who is the manager of the training center, is online to present. Go ahead, please, Ryan.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair Smith and Gary. So this agreement, this is the first time we've formalized an agreement with Oregon State Police. They have, however, been utilizing the Public Safety Training Center for the better part of 2 decades, renting our training room assets. This is part of a broader initiative that I've been working on with County Council over the last year to get all of our agency partners under formal agreements to establish mutual protections and expectations of use of our facility. So any questions about this?
Any questions or objections from the board? Seeing none, that's a go.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
So again, Commissioners, every item today on the proposed consent agenda will be on this Thursday's business meeting, May 20th, because you don't have a meeting next week and would hate to delay this for 2 weeks. So thank you for that. That is a consent agenda. The last topic today is Commissioner communications.
Let's see. Commissioner Schrader, would you like to go first?
Sure, I had an opportunity, you'll see a videotape, Children of Incarcerated Parents was a program that we started a number of years ago with Debbie Marston, who was a very dear friend of mine, and I talk a little bit about the history. So that'll be hopefully up and running soon. I also want to give a shout out to Rod Cook because we would not have that program had it not been for his grace and cooperation with getting that started. So thanks, Rod, for that. I was at a Heritage Coalition board meeting yesterday, and everything is going well. Still trying to get the federal government to make a heritage area all the way from the falls all the way up and down the upper and lower river with the landings. And it's been slow going. Evidently, we need to put a little more oomph behind that ask with Congressman Schrader's office. I did a ride-along yesterday with Amy Jo Cook, who works for the Clackamas County Fire District number 1 as a community health professional, and we did a home visit. It was very enlightening for me about how that one-on-one and having that designated under the umbrella of a fire district is very effective in making sure that people who are housebound or have issues that we're keeping them from going to the emergency room and using ambulance services unnecessarily by doing regular checkups with them. So that was fascinating to go to. Attended the National Association Board of Directors meeting. If we can all consider going to the NACO conference coming up in July, it would be, I think, a really good experience for all of us. And I'm working on continuing the same appointments I've had at NACO, which would be on the economic development and the international trade committees, among the other things I do there. And actually, I want to give a shout out to the North Clackamas Park and Recs District. They had a pollination day on Saturday. So I didn't get a chance to attend, but I wanted to note that I think that's a great idea, and I hope that they do that more frequently. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Schrader. Commissioner Scholl, you're up.
Yes, good morning. Yesterday, I had the pleasure to ride along with Amy Jo Cook from Project
You have in the
Hope.
morning, right?
She's an FTE that's provided to the county at large to be a contact for health issues. And it was very interesting. And I encourage the board to look at that program to help them. Once again, Fire District Number 1 gives us that FTE in the form of Amy Jo Cook, and I recommend we take a look at supporting her. I'll pass some more information to the board about that. Also, last week we had the meeting of the Quarterly Forestry Advisory Board. As many of you know, we lost had about 1 million board feet burned. So they'll be looking at maybe readjusting a harvest schedule for the upcoming years. And I think we're going to be hearing from the board in the next month or two on some of their issues. The Fair Board met last week, and the new go, no-go decision date for the fair and rodeo will be 10 June. And I'm hoping that's going to be a go. And they announced that they've got some commitments from Representative Drazen and Senator Kennemer for some of their dollars they received from the CARES Act to go towards building the new barn. And I encourage the board to look at maybe seeing if we can't add a little bit more to that pot of money. They'll be announcing that to us, how much that actually is, in the next month or so. But that barn is a critical need, and the barn and the fair and the rodeo is something that every adult and every child in this county can enjoy. So that's something that I think is really important. Saturday, I had the pleasure to attend the dedication of the Tyrone S. Woods Memorial Park in Oregon City over on Glen Oak Road. As many of you know, Tyrone S. Woods was a retired U.S. Navy SEAL who fought to the death in Benghazi, protecting Ambassador Stevens and U.S. Assets there at the embassy. I encourage people to get out, take a look at that park. There's a dog run, a huge play structure for the children, and it's a very, very nice thing. Oregon City did a really great job in developing the Tyrone S. Woods Memorial Park. And then also on Friday, I had a tour of Father's Heart Street Ministry on 12th Street there in Oregon City, and I was very impressed with the service that they provide to the homeless people of Clackamas County. A shout out to Marty Gant, president of Father's Heart Street Ministry. And I would also like to put another plug in for a project that was built right up here in Clackamas on Cromwell Street. It was built to provide homes and ownership to adults with autism. And that was built by the We Built nonprofit, 22 homes costing about $75,000 each. It is a real tribute to the initiative of organizations who really want to help provide affordable housing, market rate, to people in need. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scholl. Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. I have been working with staff. We will be giving the presentation for our local implementation plan on Monday, which the rest of you will be doing the budget hearings for all of the special districts, which I will not be there. So please know it's not because I don't want to be with you all. during those presentations, but I will be presenting to the Oversight Committee our local implementation plan. So hopefully that will go well. I have observed the other two counties, and I can say from watching that experience, there are typically pretty significant questions that are asked and interest in follow-up and more information. So I'm expecting that we will receive feedback and have a frame moving forward to continue to connect with the Oversight Committee. I can say that having 5 members of this 15-member committee from Clackamas County is a real good process to have our real equal participation from our community on the Metro Oversight Committee. So that's a big deal. One thing I just wanted to clarify, and I didn't get my chance to, I can't believe it, you guys. How long has it been now? Have we been doing Zoom for how many months that I have a hard time getting my hand raised sometimes, depending on which platform I'm raising. So I decided to make this clarification now instead of after Commissioner Savas asked this question about the housing emergency. I'm really looking forward to a deeper dive from staff on what the housing emergency could and should be used for. I do know from my experience and as our liaison on this effort that the COVID emergency and the wildfire emergency and the ice storm emergency did allow us the flexibility that we needed in order to deal with some very significant challenges within our homeless community. So while the housing emergency may not have been activated, we definitely used our emergency declarations to deal with the needs of our homeless population. I just say that because it's important for everyone to know the differences of how these different emergencies work together. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. I wish you well and good luck on your venture this next Monday. That's important work. Commissioner Savas, you're up next.
Yeah, just wanted to say that I too attended the Tyrone Woods Memorial and Park opening on Saturday. It was a great event and great to hear from a number of our veterans and to honor a hero. So that was a nice day, and it was also very nice to see a lot of people getting together. I was a little bit wondering, some people were masked, a lot were masked, and some people were not. And based on the announcement last week by the CDC and a couple of our governors, Washington and Oregon, obviously the news over the weekend and from that point of Friday when the CDC made that announcement, or earlier last week made that announcement, there's been a lot of confusion about what we're doing and where we're going. And hopefully on Thursday, as I'm kind of speaking to the administrator, we can hear, hopefully get some more guidance on what that's going to look like for how we operate in the, between now and June or whenever we hit that point, whatever that point is. It's just right now there's just, again, a lot of confusion, inquiries as to what we can do or not do, and masking. I am looking forward to my final Pfizer vaccination. I got my first one here a couple weeks ago, so I'm looking forward to getting past the second one in the full 2 weeks, I think, before it becomes fully effective. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and we kind of touched on it here a little bit, and that is that, in talking with staff here recently about how we're going to approach some of these supportive housing dollars and get that out to, to the folks that need it, the homeless individuals that need it, with respect for those who have alcohol or drug addiction and also mental health treatment, and I heard that our staff are saying, well, they're going to basically have these teams that go out to wherever these folks live, and provide those services. But some of these folks need detox kind of services. And detox is not something you do in 24 hours per se. Sometimes that's a couple, few weeks in order to get that done. So I'm just concerned that, and maybe we can do something with these dollars that we're getting for either a regional or a Clackamas County facility, and hopefully have the personnel to staff it. As I understand, there's a statewide shortage of people that are trained to do mental health treatment, for example. But I'm assuming that drug detox and alcohol detox is not quite the same thing. But I think that's an important thing. And with that in mind, last night at 7 p.m. on Coin 6, Channel 6, there was a program on, it's recorded, called Is Portland Over? And it's really about the impacts of the riots, the impacts of COVID, the impacts of the homelessness, and where Portland's headed or not. And it struck me when we talk about housing and we talk about acquisitions of property, which seems to be a topic right now for a lot of us. Cited in there was the Wapato facility and also another facility that Multnomah County purchased for housing for victims of domestic violence. And apparently they bought a building, Multnomah County did, and apparently that building had some structural issues, a number of issues, and apparently the roof collapsed even. So, and then that's on the heels of just a few weeks ago hearing about the veterans housing facility that had some mold and some other things. So I think it's really important for us to, when we look at acquiring properties, that we understand that in order for government to purchase them and to put individuals and people in it that we are ultimately responsible for, that our standards are very high. And rightfully so. I don't dispute that at all. But that said, to buy them with the false belief that we can simply move people in and buy them, whether it's a hotel or whether it's some of these facilities that were purchased, like in Multnomah County, which was a hotel, and the other one which is not, those failures cost cost residents money, taxpayer dollars, but more importantly, you don't get to accomplish the mission of housing the people that need it the most. So those people ultimately are either going to live in an unhealthy environment or back on the street. So we really need to be thoughtful of what we're building and really what we can truly provide for that immediate housing. And I guess the part I'm bothered by, Commissioner Scholl touched on it a little bit when he talked about that affordable housing units that were built for about I think he said $73,000 or so on. But we've got to look at a different way. And Homer Simpson was part of this Portland Over interview and talking about the complexities of housing and how it's funded. And he's put together some models that are actually very affordable. And I'm just afraid that from hearing, some elected officials, colleagues cite that some of these things are substandard is a little bit troubling when there's nothing more substandard than what people are subjected to today, living under a tent and having a solid roof over your head and being out of the weather and out of the elements and having the access to all the sanitation, water, food, and everything else is far higher standard than what they're currently living in. We have got to find a way to address that. So again, Homer Williams was cited in that article as well as others. I just encourage people to watch that 60-minute episode that was aired on Coin 6. It kind of gives an insight to a number of very topical, very important issues that our region is facing today. So I will conclude my comments there and look forward to the afternoon session.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas. This week, I toured the Volunteers in Medicine Clinic located on Malala Avenue, and I was profoundly affected by it. That building is not in good condition. I noticed right away places where the roof was leaking, and the entire south wall that faces the weather, there's leaks. and the walls are starting to crack, and they've made attempts to paint over and then put tape on it. The tiles of the floor are coming up, and this is where we're treating patients. And if there's not black mold in this building, I don't know how there isn't. I suspect it's underneath. I also toured where the staff work. It's a huge warehouse-type facility on the southwest corner where there's no air conditioning. The ceilings are about 30 feet tall, and they're in little tiny cubicles. And I tell you, to have staff and doctors work in that type of condition, to me, is appalling. However, the Clackamas Community College has invited them to take up residency in a building they have that's only partially used, and that's the Horticulture Center. That's not being used. And by the way, there still will be horticulture programs at the college. And they have come up with a floor plan and a plan to move forward. They, according to Martha Spears, who is the ED for this clinic, and she was a former Clackamas County employee, and then I met Tim Cook, president of the college over there, and gave me a tour and told me what they were doing. I think this is just a fabulous move, wonderful opportunity on many levels. Representative Meek and Representative Salinas supposedly want to allocate part of their art monies to support this. The first phase of this project will cost $1.2 million, with a total cost of around $2 million. They have agreed to pay probably these two representatives half of the initial 1.2. I'm trying to confirm that with Senator Kennemer because he needs to be part of this too. So what I mentioned earlier in the meeting today, if we could possibly look at our staff piggybacking on projects that our legislators are wanting to do, and we can help see them to completion. Martha has also indicated some very prominent private foundations and nonprofits who are willing to put up monies for this, and medical equipment supply companies that would donate monies as well for equipment. However, they don't want to be the first ones out the gate. They will add later on, and it's just the nature of how they do business. So I was very excited about this. The entrance to this clinic is on Beaver Creek Road, and it's very private, so you're not in the main campus area. But the clientele that this clinic serves is really the underemployed people who do not qualify for the Oregon Health Plan. And so that's why the medical services are so important. They also have vision, and in conjunction with the college, they will offer dental because they have a dental assistant program. We will also have the medical students from the college who are engaged in the programs, and there's some nursing and other things to do practicum there, as well as medical students from the medical colleges in the area currently go to this clinic to do practicum, and it's a wonderful learning experience for them. So I am very excited about that. I would encourage commissioners to look at this project moving forward. I also reached out to Senator Fred Gerard and Senator Christine Drazen in the legislature as they sit on the Ways and Means capital construction projects to talk about a courthouse and moving forward to the courthouse. And as Phil Donovan and Chris Lyons has said, this legislative session is so hugely hard because of the lack of communications going on. And so I talked about the courthouse, and it's really interesting from the legislators' perspectives. They look at projects differently than we do. And I remember that from being a legislator. I remember that from being on the Ways and Means. And to me, one of the most important aspects of the courthouse moving forward is not only the P3 project, we are accountable and keeping costs down, but the fact that we're building this without a tax increase. However, for them, and these are both fairly conservative fiscal people, however, for them was really the nuts and bolts of selling the G bonds and maintaining ownership and making sure the county has skin in the game. And I thought that perspective was very interesting for me, and it put a bug in my head and reminded me of how legislators look at issues, and then how county commissioners look at the issues differently because we are the feet on the ground, the boots on the ground. And as I reminded both of them, by state law, county commissions must supply a courthouse, and if you don't want to help pay for us, then change the law. And these are good friends of mine. So I wasn't telling them anything they didn't already know. It's very hopeful. Senator Gerard gave us a good contact in the Legislative Fiscal Office to make sure this goes through. I believe our lobby team will be speaking favorably on this. And the big lift is getting legislators and the fiscal office to understand the P3 model going forward, that yes, we will retain ownership, and yes, we will have skin in the game. Yes, we will be selling G bonds because that's a requirement, government bonds for that. So that was just, very interesting for me on that. And there was something else I was going to say. Don't remember. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you, commissioners, for contributing today. And Gary, we're back at 1:30?
Yes, 1:30.
Okay, we're in recess until 1:30. Thank you.